It's WDHA's Reconnect with Rockers. I am reconnecting with the Queen of Rock. Like, I am literally fangirling out right now. I hope that Suzi Quatro does not lose patience with my fangirlness. I've got my Suzi shirt on. Like, I'm so ready to roll. You're the queen.
Well, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I got to do the royal wave.
You got to do the royal wave.
Yeah, but that turns into this. That's my royal wave.
I love when people say, like, oh, before Joan Jett, there was Suzi Quatro. I go, no, before anybody, there was Suzi Quatro. And let me tell you, here's what I think was such a detriment to us in the States. We sometimes go through these periods of time where I believe generationally and cyclically, we're like 10 years behind. And I feel like all of a sudden 1982 hits. Joan's all over the radio. And the first time I heard I Love Rock and Roll, it was funny. I was at one of those basement parties, you know, that used to go to as a kid, you making out and drinking beer and stuff. And I remember I Love Rock and Roll was on, and it just clicked in my head. And I said, oh, somebody's got a new Suzi Quatro record, because I heard the growl, because I heard, you know, the chugga.
You're not the only one. I had actually people call me, because I was living in the UK. I mean, Joan was in all over my documentary. She was my biggest fan ever. I'm so glad.
She's in love. She was.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad she did what she did, because she needed to. But when she first came on TV, friends of mine called me and said, "Oh, you're on TV." I said, "No." But what happened was, you know, you see it yourself. Everybody in this business takes their initial inspiration from somebody. That's how it happens. You look and you go, oh, that's in me. That is in me. So she took the original part of me. She's nothing like me now. She went her way, I went mine. But the original first basic Suzi Quatro that you saw, the very first time you saw me, she saw that too as a young teenager and took it inside her and let it come out her way. And so I inspired her. So that's great. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And you inspired so many. I mean, now I didn't want to make this gender based, but I have to do somewhat, you know, of a gender in the beginning, because like you inspired women, whether or not they picked up an instrument, I think, to not be afraid to try and take a different path. You know, I took a different path. You know, I didn't want sort of a traditional, I said, oh, I wanted to be part of music. I couldn't play an instrument, of course. So I chose, you know, a radio career, and it was tough. You know, you try to bust the doors down as best as you can. But I remember my Suzi moment was, I probably was 7 years old, maybe. My dad used to take me to the record stores every Saturday and Sunday when mom worked. He was in the R's looking at the Rolling Stones. Thank God they didn't put you in the Q's, or it might have been different for me. You were in the S's. I was next to Dad, and I saw the debut.
Yeah.
And it just, I said, Daddy, I want that. I want that record. That's the record I want. You were the first woman I ever saw with a band, a male band, not just a band, you know, because we saw the girl groups and stuff, but you had a band. And then having you be a tiny woman. I was always the smallest, you know, and still am, 5 foot, big mouth. But being a tiny woman and seeing you then, as I became a fan, with that ginormous bass, the neck of the bass was as big as your whole body, doing the bass solos. Dun, 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 dun. We never saw anything like it. And I felt like you were the warm up, and you were paving that road for everybody else who came, the leader of that movement. And I know you said you never wanted to be like the leader of any sort of feminist movement or anything like that, but you warmed that road up for a lot of people who traveled that road.
Well, it wasn't, it hadn't been done. You know, my legacy is I just kicked that door down, but I kicked it down because I didn't see it, in all honesty. I am not gender identified as such. I'm just not. I'm a bit of a tomboy, and although I'm very feminine, I'm still I'm a combination of things, but I didn't know I was doing what I was doing. All I was doing was, as I'm still now at the age of 70, I just refuse to compromise who I am. I won't do it. This is all I was doing, being me. And the reason I was being me was because as I was growing up, I knew, oh, I don't fit there. Oh, and I don't fit, and I don't fit there. And where the hell do I fit in? I was a square peg in a round hole my whole life. So the only way out of that is to find your unique little space in the world, which is what I did. And by doing that and not knowing I was doing it is what kicked the door down. I wasn't one of the first, I was the first. What female did I have to copy?
No, there was no one. I wanted to ask you,
This is what I'm saying.
Some of that came from the thing that I love about Detroit. There is, it breeds originality, I think.
Oh, yeah.
There's no place like it for music. There is an originality that comes out of Detroit, whether it was, the whole Berry Gordy movement or the MC5 or you.
Survival. It is a tough city and it's called survival.
Yeah.
So you better stake your claim, whatever that may be, But I have to tell you, this is funny that you brought all this up because I've been asked this so many times and I never had the answer. My whole career, 57 years in this business, 55 million records. My new record now is climbing the charts. Documentary out in 2019 that sat at the top of the Amazon chart. All this, I never got it until I went to the first premiere of the documentary in London. So I hadn't seen it on the big screen with an audience. This is how you really see something because you're there and you are feeling it. So I was supposed to come up for the Q&A after the show. And I really wanted to see the film with an audience. So I snuck in and stood on the side. Tried to be very, like this. Because they were going to lead me down the aisle anyway at the end and bring me up on stage. A couple people saw me and I just went, shh, shh, shh. And they left me be. No selfies. I really wanted to be there. So, then you're there and you are feeling the film. You're seeing all these women come out, including Joan and Debbie and Cherie and all these women. And I started to cry. There were maybe 6 or 7 moments in the film that I wanted to call out because they were awkward. And those are the best moments in the film. But it really, I went, and the light bulb went on. The next day, I called Cherie Curry, the ex-singer of the Runaways.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And we're good friends. And I called her up, and you'll laugh at it. This is great. I said, Cherie, I have something to tell you. She said, what? I said, well, I went to the premiere of my documentary last night. She said, yeah. And I said, I just realized something. And she said, what? I said, well, that by me doing what I did, I gave permission to women all over the world to be different. And she just was quiet. And then she went, and you just got that?
Yeah.
Whispering, and you just got that. I went, but that's the truth.
Yeah,
you see,
I can see that in you. I can see that in you.
If I had an agenda,
Yes.
if I had an agenda, and I was a girl, I'm going to show what girls can do, it would not have worked. The only reason Joan made it work was because I had already done that.
Yep.
And then on Happy Days, they showed me as a bass player, tough little cookie. So then America accepted. I'm on the biggest sitcom in the States.
And that was so crazy.
Suzi playing leather playing Suzi. It's the same person, basically.
It was so crazy. Yeah, it was so crazy. And you know what? You were always so authentic. And that's what I loved about you. You were so tough, but you never tried to be tough. That's just who you are. They boxed you, because we have to box people. And where does this person fit? Where does that person fit? So, of course, you were part of they put you in like the glam box. You didn't have to wear any makeup, I
don't have any on now. No, I was never glam.
Yeah.
Never glam. And I won't be boxed in. When you listen to the new album, you'll see how I won't be boxed in. Yes, I'm rock and roll. Yeah. Yes, I am. But I will not be boxed in. That's why I've done everything I've done in entertainment. Because I won't be boxed in. Sure, my main thing is my bass guitar, my leather suit, my rock and roll. Sure. That's where I sit. But I've done everything. Because I can.
Yeah. Yeah, musicals, writing musicals. I mean, you've just done everything. Television, and that was so weird because I feel like in the States we wanted you to be somebody else. Leather. We wanted the TV star. It was so confusing, and I think we in the United States were confused. And I remember I always thought Suzi Quatro was so mysterious. In any fanzine that you were in, whether it was Circus or Cream or Tiger Beat when you were on Happy Days, oh my God, there's Suzi. There's Suzi. Got to buy this, got to buy this, got to buy this. And not realizing, that your career, your rock career was really just on this trajectory overseas that you couldn't stop.
No, and it's explored in the documentary very cleverly. Everybody's asked that question, and I know it myself. I started to tour there in '74. Started having hits everywhere in the world, '73. My first album came out. I brought my English band back to America. Started to tour. Did very well. Sold a lot of albums. The hit singles didn't go as big over there until Stumbling In. But All Shook Up got in the charts. But I noticed when I was listening to the radio, '74, '75, all I heard was Linda Ronstadt and the Eagles. Mm-hmm. So basically, there was no space for me yet in America.
Yep.
So all that early period of that '73, '74, and '75, then, that one did a little bit better because I was on that Cooper tour. Your Mama Won't Like Me. But they weren't quite ready for me until I did Happy Days, and then they got it, and then Joan ran with it.
Yeah, and then Joan ran with it. Yeah.
And that's okay. She did what she did. I had my big million seller that was Stumbling In, and I didn't really care because I'm all over the world, so it's fine. But everything goes as it goes. Everything happens as it should.
I want to talk to you about the documentary too. I think it came full circle for me in 2019, I guess, when you put out No Control and you worked with your son, who was like, Mom, it's time. Now's time. It's time. Now's the time. And we need to do this. And it brought me back to the documentary, because when you said there were times where we were watching it in front of everybody and there were awkward times and things, and it was the family dynamic.
It was.
And there were parts of that documentary that were hard for me to watch, being somebody who loves you, and is such a fan of yours and knows what you went through, even though you didn't know when you were going through it, really. You were just moving through your life. And watching some of that family dynamic was a little like, it broke my heart a little bit. Like, it hurt my heart a little bit. So then to see your son come to you and say, Mom, I know who you are. We need to do this now. I thought was really like a great kind of full circle thing for you.
Very healing in a way.
Yeah.
And he, like I said, this album is climbing the charts, and I don't have to say it's my finest work anymore, The Devil in Me, because everybody else is saying it.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. But we created, after the first one, we created a perfect storm. So he got his confidence up on the first album. I started to trust him very much on the first album. You got this kid coming to you, telling you, who's been in the business your whole life, what you should be doing. I'm going, but he brought his 36 years, and that's that generation of music, a little bit different than mine, different way of writing, everything's a little bit different. And he also brought in his DNA, which he can never get rid of. He's been watching me be Suzi Quatro from as far back as his memory goes. And this is in him. This is how he sees me, And he's pretty much, not that he doesn't allow this and this, sure, but I think he's got a really good understanding of who I am. And I brought my 57 years and my experience in the business and my age 70 to the table. And he's made me, I don't know how he's done it, but he's made me see myself brand new through his eyes. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%.
I am seeing me through his eyes. It's like I've discovered me all over again.
You're reborn.
It's fantastic, yeah.
You get reborn through your kids. And there's a musical rebirth. Well, we can hear it in this record. The title track is just phenomenal, and it kicks everything off. Like, it feels for me, it's like a musical journey, which I really like, because I think it's kind of a start to finish, and then Motor City Riders kind of ends the record. And there's this nice musical journey that we take. And there's, of course, we get in and we get the Suzi, the growl, as I like to call it, that growl yell, kind of, that kind of brings me right in. And I'm like, yeah, now I'm in my comfort zone. Now I'm in my wheelhouse going on this journey. And your son absolutely gets it. Is it sort of conceptual? Was it kind of a conceptual record for you, kind of going down?
Kind of. We both agreed that No Control was as our first outing, so there was no blueprint. We'd never worked together before, so when we knew we were making an album, when I knew it was going to be serious, I threw out to them, look, let's just, now that we know we're serious, let's just let whatever comes. I don't want to try to write this or try to write that. So it was a fun album, experimental in a way, finding out where we both sit writing and blah, blah, blah. This one, Richard dug his heels in. And he was, if he was any younger, I would have grounded him. But he dug his heels in. And he kept saying to me, trust me, Mom, trust me. I'm doing this for you. I know the music you should be making. Trust me. And as we're going along, he maybe throw me this riff and I'd go, and I'd start to work with it. And all of a sudden I go, yeah, and I'm in there. So I do trust him. And he wanted this album to be as groundbreaking and as important as the first album. That was our benchmark. And to blow No Control out of the water.
Yeah, yeah. What I love about it is it's Suzi familiar and it's fresh. There's a fresh.
That's what everybody says, fresh.
There's a fresh sound to it. But it's what we love as Suzi Quatro fans. I mean, we want Suzi to be Suzi, and there's this freshness to it that is just, it's incredible. I want to talk about some of the tunes. I want to talk about the title track. I want to talk about Hey Queenie, which is why I say it's kind of this
Hey Queenie. Oh my God.
of going, kind of down this road with you. So talk to me a little bit about those two songs.
Okay, The Devil in Me, God. I have to tell you what happened. I said it about 18 months ago. We were talking, and I said something, and I went, oh, God, will the angels guard the devil in me? And Richard went, Mom, write that down. So I did. Something my mother used to always say. And I wrote, as we started to write for this album after lockdown, we said, right, we're not going on tour. You're not on tour. I'm not on tour. Write the album. So I wrote the lyrics. The album was going to be called The Devil in Me. We decided that. I don't know why. Wrote the set of lyrics, very much about my mom. She always used to say this to me. You were the shyest, sweetest kid, but you had the mischief in your eyes. And when your halo slipped, it became a noose. She always said stuff like this.
I like that.
I do too. I always liked it. So
I
wrote the words, and I couldn't find... Sorry, these two probably have the longest stories. I kept trying to find my way into it. With the bass, with the piano, with the guitar. Couldn't find my way, and I went, damn, these are good words. Put them in my lyric book and left them there. Still having the folder for the album cover, The Devil in Me. There it is, written out. So Richard came to the last track on the album, and he said, Mom, we need one more. Here's this riff, what do you think? I said, I like that. Shoot that to my computer. So I came in here, got my acoustic bass, got my songbook out with one-liners, titles, bits and pieces, just flicking through. Something usually goes, bang! This is the words for this song. This is what happened. The lyrics for The Devil in Me fell out of my book and landed face up on my computer keyboard. I went...
Is that true? Wow.
I just went, okay, fine. So those are the lyrics. No, you could say coincidence, wind, whatever you want to say. This is what happened. Yeah. And I just looked at it, and I went, okay. Started to play, started to sing the words, and it was perfect for the song. So whether my mother did that or not, I don't know. I would like to think.
The halo did something. The halo came down, and the halo did something. And then Hey Queenie, which is such a great rocker, and seems almost autobiographical in nature, about people and people or so talk to me a little bit about it.
It is. On the first album, there was a song called Glycerine Queen. Mm-hmm. And that's been in my live show since the day it was recorded, since the day it was written. That's in 73. I've been doing that song live. Yep. Richard loves that song. He wanted to revisit it. So he said, what about if it was a transvestite that came into our dressing room, 1973. And my ex-husband, Richard's dad, said, hey, man, do you take glycerine? And he said, yeah, glycerine's something you put on you to look sweaty. So he poured it in his beer. We called him the Glycerine Queen. Richard wanted to readdress that same guy, only have him older. So we went back to him, Your body's gone up in flames, and hey, Queenie, you think you look the same and you don't. And we even put in the Wurlitzer sound from the original.
Yes.
And I have to say, and I say it without shame, that's one of the hardest bass lines I've ever written for myself to play.
Yeah.
Whoa. If I have to do that live, it'll be the third time in my life I have to practice the bass with the singing.
Yeah. See,
It's a hard line.
this is why Richard was such a great collaborator for you too, because he knows you. He's part of you, and you're part of each
Yes,
other. And
I've been working sometimes on stuff in there. Sometimes I'll come in here and say, whoa, what's that? Other times they'll come in and say, Mom, that's not organic for you.
I love it. I love it. Apple tree, apple tree, apple tree. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know, and you were, I love when you said, you know, look, if he was younger, I would have punished him. I would have, you know, because he's got that same spirit that you have.
It's
you know,
amazing.
Apple and tree. Talk to me about what it's been like to not be touring. You know, you've been out on the road. You've never stopped creating, whether it's rock music or whether it's being on TV or whether it's being on the stage and performing live, being in plays and musicals and writing, you know, writing musicals, and you've never stopped.
I can't stop. I'm on my 5th book right now. I'm nearly done with it. It's my 5th book.
And
I've
what
got
has
my
this year been like for you, being not able to be doing
difficult. Because the air that I breathe is communicating, creating, and entertaining. These 3 things, they come together with me. Okay, so I can't go on the stage to do that. So what I had to do is find a way to still communicate that energy to fans, family, and friends. Just get it out there. So I did, really hard though. I mean, my rolling bag has been sitting by the door since last March, but I did like 50 Suzi Quatro bass lines on the internet. I did a bunch of Sunday specials where I stripped one of my songs back and sang it. I've been doing my Instagram site since March last year. I found my ways to, and I do every day 2 different Facebook things, and I find my way to communicate. I'm in the front room practicing. I still play my set every day, but it's hard. My husband called me yesterday, and he said, because he books me, and that's the other thing. He's stuck in Hamburg. I'm stuck here. We run separate homes. We have done for 27 years, and until the pandemic, it was fine. I jump on a plane, he jumps on a plane, and he called me from wherever he was in Hamburg, and he said, I just had tears in my eyes. I said, why, what's the matter? He said, I just pictured you holding your bass up for the encore, right up in the air and stomping and marching onto the stage. And he was crying. Yeah. It'll come back. Has to.
Yeah, it will.
But it's hard.
It will.
It is hard.
And I can't wait to see you do that stomp and
I do stomp.
that march again. I love it. That's the Suzi march. And look, I'm not going to harken back to this again, but I've seen a lot of ladies do that stomp and march since the Suzi Quatro originated stomp and march. So, you know, another thing that you have created. And I want everybody to know that and you've done everything. You've done radio shows. Like, I think of all the things that you've done, you know, and it's amazing that you've never stopped creating. I want everybody to check out the new record. It's called The Devil in Me. It is so good. However you get your music, check out Suzi's website, suziquatro.com. And I loved your quote, like, I'll retire when I go on stage and shake my ass in their silence.
I said it when I was 35.
Yeah, right. And there's never...
Idiot asked me at 35, but I want to tell you it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. It is
it's never
going to happen. And we hope it never does. And, you know, this has been a little slice of heaven for me because, I've done, this will probably be like my 68th or 69th Reconnect with Rockers. And being able to speak with somebody who I just think the world of, who's changed my life and has changed rock and roll, changed the game of rock and roll for so many. You need to be in that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't even want to get started because I'll be so angry.
I know. I've been saying lately, it's just, maybe it's better not being in it. Maybe I'm a better company, but it is rather silly. That's all I gotta say. I don't want to keep saying I'm bored with it now, but it is stupid.
It is. But you know what? But when somebody gets smart enough to realize that you need to be in, there will be a certain part of me that will be like, oh, yes, finally, you idiots realized it. You're an American. You're an American treasure for us because you're from the States, a Detroit girl. And I just love you. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Yay.
Bye.
Love you. Thank you for
Love you
doing
too. Bye-bye.
This
Thank
is
you.
great. Thank you, Suzi. DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Karis Lock Company, your full-service locksmith.